Am I doing what I should be doing? Am I doing enough? And my answer to that was no, I'm not doing enough. I'm not good enough. No, I should be doing more. But what is the more that I should be doing? And hi there. Welcome back to this channel. So today we're doing things a little bit different. Originally, I was planning to do a home DIY video. Clearly, based on the title of this video and what we're getting ready to talk about now, it is definitely not the case because God has other plans. So without further ado, welcome to, I guess, my testimony of walking with God and journeying with Him really over these last 3 years. Let me take a sip of coffee before we jump in, girl, because I was a hot mess. Yeah. Oh, that's good. Let's start from the beginning. So I come from a big family. There are 9 of us in my family. I'm the second oldest of 7, so have always grown up around a lot of people. And I think even my parents would describe me as being more independent and sort of a self-starter, if you will. I wasn't one of my parents' kids, I guess, that they really had to necessarily keep a watchful eye on because I was going to do what I needed to do, whether that was my homework, whether that was, my chores, whatever have you. From just the way that we were raised and the things that, we went through, we grew up sort of moving around a lot, changing schools frequently, and just that kind of state of not being grounded in one environment. I learned, I think, how to be a chameleon, whether that was being, a little bit more agreeable in every aspect that I could be. I sort of learned from an early age how to mask my true feelings, how to mask my real opinion, how to say what I thought people wanted me to say as a way to not shine the light directly on me and as a way not to make too much of a ruckus. So my idea of success was just blending in with the crowd and not ruffling too many feathers. And I think for the most part, that strategy, even though it wasn't something that I actively noted or noticed that I was doing, it worked for a long time. Honestly, it really worked up until I really encountered Jesus, because I think over time, what that led to me feeling was having an external persona that was easy for me to turn on, or that was easy for me to blend into any environment that I was going into. But then internally, I don't even think I knew how I really felt sometimes or what was all really in my heart. I don't think I allowed myself the space really to process through things. I just sort of filtered and separated from an exterior praise versus an interior praise, if you will. Like I said, it worked for so long. There's one example that I remember. I was on a bus to school one day and I went to a private school from, I think, 7th grade to 9th grade. On the bus from school, me and my brother, we would then take the public city bus all the way back to where we stayed, which was way far from the school that we were attending because it was a very affluent school and we didn't have no money. So we were there by the grace of God, for real. I remember these 2 girls, they were sitting ahead of me and they were looking at shoes that they were liking or whatever. And they showed me a pair and I was like, oh yeah, that's really cute. I really like that one. And then they would discuss among themselves and then they would show me and I was like, oh yeah, I really like that one too. Again, being very agreeable because I was like, I don't know. They did it maybe a few more times and I didn't catch on that I was a part of this, joke or whatever. But then after however many times, I remember one of them saying I bet she's going to agree on this one too. Watch this. I heard that. And then there was a pang that went through my heart. And I was like, oh, they're making fun of me right now. That's not fun. That's not nice. And it's so small, but it really did hurt me because I think I wanted everybody to be okay. I think I wanted everything to go okay. Oh my gosh, why I'm going to start crying. I wanted everything to be okay. I always wanted everything to just, everyone to be in the right place, everyone to get along, everyone to just, okay, not for nothing to go wrong. And I think I sort of took on the stance of if I make myself small enough, if I don't say anything, if I just keep the peace, so to speak, or if I mediate through things, then everything's going to be okay. And so when I guess, again, that strategy was being called out, it hurt, I think, on a deep level, so much so that I'm talking about it now because it's something that now I have a better perspective on for sure. But it just really highlighted for me that need to be accepted, that need to keep the peace, that need to just have nothing go wrong, when in reality it felt like everything around me was always going wrong. And so I think me trying to fight that was to say, okay, if I can just control my response to things, then I can sort of influence the environment around me. And so when they did it the last time, I think I wound up being like, oh, actually, I don't really like that pair or whatever. And then they like looked at each other and they like rolled their eyes and they turned back. And I was like, okay, well, I guess the fun is over. I don't know. That's just an example of sort of my philosophy that like navigated me through life for a long period, because we grew up struggling. We grew up, not having a lot. We grew up moving a lot and all these different things. I feel like I internalized so much as like a kid, wanting to be able to provide for my family, but like not feeling like I had the skills, tools, resources to wanting to see my family better, but not feeling like I could do anything really about it. I remember one time when my family and we got stranded on the side of the street of a highway. We were moving back from Philly all the way back to Colorado, and we called her Big Red, this van that we had, and the van essentially broke down. We were just right outside of Colorado too. And so we're on the side of the street of this interstate highway. We don't have any money, any food, really anything. And so we're calling our family members that are in Colorado. And because we're on the outskirts of the city, or the state rather, it's going to take them some hours to get to us. So we sort of just like camped out on the side of the highway for hours. At one point, a truck driver stopped. He was on the other side of the highway, not even going in the direction in which we were going in, but he stopped. And I don't know if my dad went to him or he came to my dad, but somehow they got to talking, and this man went and he bought all of us food from an A&W that was like right off the side of the highway. And I think he gave my parents some money too. You are taking time out of your clock to do what he did. You're going out of your way to do that. And so I think that planted a seed of what the gospel is in such a deep way that I think God from there just started to water throughout. All I remember saying in my heart and to myself is that when I grow up, I want to help people. And that has always stuck with me, kind of stayed with me in high school, throughout high school, and certainly going into college, where I wanted to do every sort of like public service thing that I could, whether it was, leading a trip. I think my sophomore year, it was called Homelessness in Our Backyard. And we were looking at like different shelters and organizations that were helping people, that didn't have housing in the state of Maine. And so we were doing a lot of meetings and volunteering and working with different groups and stuff like that by myself. I think I worked with like the Volunteer Lawyers Project, which was essentially providing free legal services to people that couldn't afford a retainer for a lawyer, things like that. And so opportunities to serve in that way was always important to me, because I understood what it felt like to be the recipient of that help, but also to not have the resources, basic resources that you wanted for your family. It's interesting because for me, I didn't even know the word public service, being a public servant. That was foreign to my vocabulary when it came to the desire to like want to help. I just knew I wanted to help or get involved. So being involved, being active was something that was, that was just who I was. I started to realize, oh, people are getting rewarded for serving others. Like that was a foreign concept to me. I was like, wait, you want to acknowledge me because I'm helping someone else? What? In my junior year, there's this fellowship that is literally for public servants. And it's a prestigious fellowship that sort of spotlighted change makers across the country at various institutions. And in order to apply for the fellowship, you had to go through an internal vetting process, because you could nominate up to 4 candidates from your school. The school would then endorse essentially. And then once you're endorsed by your college, then you can officially go through the application process. I knew that my friend, who was a year older than me, he had gotten this fellowship the prior year. And to me, it made the most sense in the world because he's incredible. He's so brilliant and great. And I couldn't think of anybody better. He was then telling me like, oh, you need to apply for this. You need to apply for this. I was like, nah, nah, like, no, I'm not like held off on actually even doing the internal sort of vetting that is required by the college until the very day that it was due. And I couldn't shake it of like, oh, let me try, like, whatever. I wind up on the day of submitting my application at like, I don't know, I think it was due at like 11. I think I submitted at like 10:30. And then I get an email back from our fellowship's office that's like, oh, where's your letter of recommendation? And I was like, oh, oh, oops, don't have that. So I was able to contact another person who was like in the volunteer office that I worked with a lot. And he was able to write me an on the fly sort of recommendation letter, I think. And they had given me an extension to, I want to say like 5 p.m. that day or something like that. So he was able to write me a letter of recommendation that day. Every time I look back on that process, I'm just like, God, you were so merciful to me, because I was like, no, I'm not doing this. I had already eliminated myself from this fellowship because I was like, I had read the previous bios of people who have gotten it. And I'm like, I'm not like these people. Ultimately, what wound up happening is that by the grace of God, I got the fellowship. The Truman Fellowship, if you look up the fellowship or whatever, it is to highlight people who have essentially done exemplary public service in their communities, in their states, whatever have you, who are change makers in the world. Again, I had eliminated myself as being like, bro, I'm a nobody from nowhere and not doing really anything how I felt about myself, I guess, then. And so to be recognized in that way it ultimately led me to Christ, I think, because something switched in my brain, whereas beforehand I was going from like being involved, getting involved because it was like a common sense type of thing. It was not because I was trying to seek or gain or receive something from anybody. Receiving this prestigious fellowship, it was like the undoing of me in a way that I can now look back on and say it was divinely orchestrated. Because again, whereas I was doing and being involved because that was my reasonable service, like, of course, it now was an eye-opening moment. It caused me to spiral, because now I was like, not only do people get highlighted for, the work that they're doing to help others, but now I happen to be one of those people that is getting highlighted for the work that I'm doing to help others. What does that say about me? Now I feel like I should expect more of myself, because I'm getting this acknowledgement that I don't even really think I deserve. But now people associate with me, and now I think they have a level of like, oh, okay, like this is what this means about you. And I'm like, but what does it mean? What should I be doing more of? And then that summer I had also somehow, some way, I got this really cool fellowship to do research with the National Science Foundation at Texas A&M, and it was through a sociology graduate seminar research fellowship. That was also like such a cool opportunity. It taught me a lot about the academic side of things, and at the time I sort of wrote it off as like, oh, I don't want to do academia. I wouldn't say that so strongly now, but I was immature in many ways. Felt like, okay, these like really big things are happening and I don't know why they're happening. I don't know what I'm doing to make them happen. And I think there was a little bit of external expectation, but I really felt like a lot of the pressure I was putting on was coming from myself. Now I have to like live up to the expectations that I'm somehow associated with. And then like for me, the serving aspect of it all, it became corrupted, I think, in my heart at the very least. I started to merge my identity with, okay, I'm serving. Am I going to get recognized for that service? And that was something ultimately led me to Christ, because then, senior year happened. My senior spring was COVID. Break out of that. By the grace of God, I had landed a pretty good job, got the confirmation that I got this job in February to work at an independent school in DC. Then everything shut down in March. Clearly, God has always been looking out for your girl. I wound up moving to DC a few months later because everything just completely shut down from like 2020 to 2023 through 2 job changes from then. That conversation never really turned off in my head. My thoughts just became more and more incessant, and to the point where, and I don't think COVID helped with this for sure, but it became these larger questions of, am I doing what I should be doing? Am I doing enough? Am I doing enough that I'm going to get recognized for what I'm doing? Am I choosing the right kind of career or the right kind of path for myself? What should I be doing? I don't feel like I'm someone who is like, oh, I'm going here for 3 years and I'm going to do this and then I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. Like I said earlier, I didn't even know what college was. But somehow, some way, by the grace of God, we made it to college with a full ride. This is not even a deep dive into the miraculous nature of God in my life and in my family's life, because there are so many stories, but I didn't see it that clearly then. I am just thinking it's me. There's something about me that is, making all these things happen. And so I think because I was seeing it all through the lens of myself, of me doing it, of me, putting myself in the right place, putting myself around the right people, putting myself in the right time, I took on all of this weight that I was never meant to carry. And it just led to me feeling like ultimately like I wasn't doing enough, like I wasn't good enough, that I was fraudulent. Girl, the thoughts were nonstop. And it was almost like, I was trying to like both chase and be ambitious and just dive in and work hard towards something, but then I didn't know what I was working hard towards. It was just all of these factors that were weighing in on me, so much so that I just became so insular. And at this time, my partner that I was with, bless his heart, because I feel like he had to put up with so much from me, but it's almost like I couldn't fully live. I wasn't living. I feel like over time, there was like a 4-year period of me just slowly becoming more deranged mentally, internally, still masking it okay, because again, I know how to mask, but internally becoming more and more confused. I think growing more number to the world around me as a result, because all I could think about was, am I doing what I should be doing? Am I doing enough? And my answer to that was, no, I'm not doing enough. I'm not good enough. No, I should be doing more. But what is the more that I should be doing? It was just the nonstop sort of cyclical nature of these questions that I was losing sleep. My partner would be asleep next to me, sound asleep, and I would be like, I'm so envious of him right now because I just want to rest. I felt like I wasn't really living because I couldn't enjoy anything. I felt like I should be working all the time. So much self-analyzation all the time. It sucked. And I think over time, I got almost into like a state of like depression where I just wanted to turn my mind off. Like I wanted to go blank. I wanted to not feel anything. And in a way, I was becoming so numb and just so like, I'm here, but I'm not really here because I'm lost in the sea of endless thought. It wasn't until January 2023, about 4 years of just this God and his infinite grace and mercy showing me that it was never me. Surprise, praise. I've never been in control. The period on the whole was just a way for me to realize that I'm not God and it's not about me. I am a part of this larger story, but it's not about me. The moment when my desire to serve others became about my desire to receive recognition, then it all just started to fall down. And I'm so grateful that it did. It all coalesced into a moment in January 2023 where I was fed up. I think a few weeks prior, I had started to get all these books on like Power of Now, which I think is from like Eric Tolle or something like that. I was so at a point where I'm like, I'm done. I'm turning my mind off. I don't want these thoughts anymore. I'm tired of not sleeping. I'm tired of feeling so heavy. I want my life back. I want to be able to enjoy the small things. I needed help. I needed help and I knew that I needed help. So I was trying to find it in some sort of book that I could read and like just figure out how to self-actualize or to become this bad boss babe that had it all together and was good for the rest of my life. Like that's the journey that I was trying to propel myself into. And I thought that if I just, really commit to the self-improvement journey, then eventually I would get there. Thank you, Lord, that he had other plans in mind for me. And there was one day in January, again, where all of this has come to a head. I don't know if my mom called me. I don't know if I called my mom, but somehow I'm talking to my mom and I break down and I just start bawling. I was like a baby. I bawled so hard. I remember she was like, okay, no, we gonna pray about this. Because that's one thing my mom would say. She's we gonna pray about this. And we did. I didn't really have a relationship with God, nor was that my focus really. After that prayer, I was in my like little home office, and I remember like feeling myself sit up straighter, and this weight that I didn't know that I was carrying, it felt like it lifted off of me, and I felt I could finally breathe for the first time in so long, which made me cry even more. For me, it was like, oh, God is real. That was my first thought. And then that night was one of the most peaceful, restful nights of sleep that I had had in years. And that planted the seed for me of like, oh, there's something more to this God thing than just going to church and just saying I believe in God, but like not aligning myself to the word. I knew then, at the very least, I didn't know a lot. I still don't know a lot. I'm still learning a lot. But one thing I didn't know is that my answer did not lie in me, but rather in me coming to my creator and being like, Lord, help me. Please help me. Because there are things in my heart that I don't like, that I don't want here, that are ugly. And I don't want to hurt people that I love. I don't want to think of myself as less than or better than. And indeed, he's been answering that prayer. That was my first time being, Jesus is not just a figurehead. He's a real person, a real man, a real God. And there's a real spiritual world that exists, has implications of things that I can't see, but literally feel the weight of lifting off of my shoulders. Then over those next few months, just starting to water that more and God giving the increase, which ultimately led to so many things in my life changing from then on. In many ways, it got worse. It got so much worse. Not the actual that I was struggling with then, that ended then and there, thank God. But like my life around me changed so much. I think we're going to pause there for now. And at some point in the future, by the timing of God, because clearly I'm not in control of this channel, we'll do a part 2 or really just continue talking about the ways in which my life has drastically changed since coming into relationship with God. But I just want to end this by praying and then by also just encouraging you wherever you are in your journey of getting to know God for himself, to trust that you're not crazy. I guess that would be number one, because you're not, and to not be afraid to lean into not only the still small voice that is God, but also I would say don't allow your intellect to get in the way of getting to know God, because in many ways getting to know God requires that you kind of throw your intellect to the garbage and then he'll bring it back and you have so much more of an informed perspective on this world. Just lean in to the journey that God has for you, because ours are all different, but you're not alone. You're not alone. And I'm excited for you, because truly being in relationship with God is so much better than being in religion with God. And being in relationship with God is something that you don't ever want to go back from, because there is no back. Before my camera officially shuts down on me, I think I may need to change my SD cards. I'm just going to say a quick prayer for you, whoever you are. We'll call it that. Dear Lord, thank you for my brother, my sister on the receiving end of this video. God, ultimately, I pray that your will be done in their life. And I pray that you bring them into the light and the love and the glorious nature of who you are. And I thank you, God, for what you are doing in their lives. And I just pray blessings and grace and mercy upon them. In the mighty name of Jesus, so be it, and it is so. Amen. All right. I'll see y'all in the next video, and love and light. Love and light. I kind of like that. All right. Bye.